Welcome to the Site Audit Podcast, episode number 2. Today we're looking at Faircloth Drywall, which is a very typical small business that there's millions of all over the country, where people have some type of small business that they need to keep in the search engine results. And when they don't, they really start to feel the pain. So Mike and I know each other. We play baseball together. And he's been complaining to me for the last year about his rankings and his visibility dropping. So today we decided to make him the guinea pig for our latest Site Audit podcast. With me today is Jake St. Peter from Dorigo, and Mike is in here as well. And I'll start off by giving a quick introduction of Mike's website. My favorite part of it is his smiling face on the home page. And the story that goes with that is the original picture, he was not smiling because he told me it was at the end of the day and he was exhausted. So I used AI to put that smile on Mike's face.
Yeah.
If you go to pages deeper under, you can see him, the non-smiling version.
There he is. Look at that. That's the unhappy Mike. That's because his site's not ranking well in search.
I used to look better than that.
But now that he ranks, look at that smile.
That's right. So Jake and I talked quite a bit yesterday about just walking through the site and the kind of strange linking. So why don't you take it from there, Jake, and we'll talk through some of the content and some of the flow through the site.
Sure. So a couple of things real quick. We did a couple of small fixes already. For example, this view our services wasn't working. We've now got that going down to your services offered. One of the biggest takeaways that I think needs to be implemented, one of the first things that I noticed, so I don't know in what order that this was done necessarily. For example, did you add the city pages after this page? But we noticed, first of all, that this popcorn removal right now is going to the drywall texture work page. So like if I click on this, it's for some reason going to drywall and sheetrock texture work, where we did notice that there actually is a / popcorn ceiling removal page. So I think that we need to update that link to go to the right page. Also here, read more about popcorn ceiling removal. This is going to, it looks like a blog page to where I wouldn't do that necessarily. I would have all of this just going to the popcorn removal page. The second piece here is that the drywall services page, it looks like, and this is what I was touching on real quick a couple minutes ago when I said, I don't know what came first. If this page was built first and then you started adding additional city pages. But right now, the drywall repair page is considered, or it's linked to the drywall services Raleigh page. And what I would recommend here is that we get the Raleigh removed from this page so that this just becomes a drywall services page. And then afterwards, after that's done and it frees up the drywall services Raleigh page, then you could go in and build out the Raleigh page, very similar to how you're doing the Apex pages and Holly Springs pages and stuff like that. Real quick, while we're talking about the city pages, I would also recommend, right now as it stands, I believe that what your plan of attack is to, let me bring up your site map here. I think what your plan of attack is that you were going to build out the city pages so that Google, when it hits your site map, would index those pages. And I can make this a little bit bigger here. But right now, you're not really linking to these pages from the front end of the website, which I think is really important. So down here, for example, you start talking about city pages here. I would start linking up all of those city pages the same way to where like you have the cities here, link them up as much as possible. The other thing on the homepage that I would recommend doing is deleting this secondary slide. A couple of reasons for it. First of all, each one of these slides has an H1 tag on it for the heading tag, and there should only be one H1 tag per page. So right now you're getting multiples, which would confuse Google as to what is the title for this page. And so the family owned and operated for over 40 years, mainly because that's not a search term for you. I would delete the second slide so that it's only this home slide, and then it's got the drywall repair and installation, which is done correctly. Like, for example, that's in an H1 tag. We can see it right there, H1 class. So cleaning up that second title tag. Question here regarding the painting services. Confused as to why painting services gets its own tab at the top and painting services is not put underneath the services tab. The services pages, like here we're talking about drywall repair, drywall installation, and popcorn removal. Let's use the drywall services. What I would recommend doing on these pages is to embed any of the blog posts that talk about, say, each one of these. So if you have a blog post that's written anything about sheetrock repair, drywall services, you would put that one here. Say you had a video made on popcorn ceiling removal or a blog made on popcorn ceiling removal, either one of those two, associate that content to the root parent page of that service. Mainly the next, this content, a lot of the content on the website, I believe, was ChatGPT created content, and I don't think it's helping out right now. I would probably really consider rewriting some of the content. We're not really 100% sure yet if it's because it's just so new, meaning like some of these ChatGPT pages of content have only been up for a couple of months. It just doesn't appear as though they are doing as well as they should be doing. And I have concerns there if it's because of the ChatGPT content. Now, interestingly enough, we did run it through a couple of testers, and the testers are saying that it is human readable. But again, those are testers. Those aren't Google. We don't know necessarily how well Google can determine content that was generated by computers. I've got the repurpose the drywall services Raleigh page to drywall services. And then, like I talked about, build out the Raleigh page. So fixing this guy. So it's just talking about drywall services. Also, for the city pages, say, for example, you had 10 city pages, Cary, Raleigh, whatever. You could link them up here on this page and say like drywall services in Raleigh, drywall services in Cary, drywall services in Holly Springs, et cetera, et cetera. And then embed the YouTube videos. I saw that you have some YouTube videos. Like, for example, you've got a YouTube video that talks about like drywalling in Cary kind of thing. That needs to go on the Cary page. Any videos that could be associated to different either topics or cities, we would benefit to embed those. And we also noticed that, which isn't very typical, on a lot of your searches, it looks like YouTube videos are coming up in the top 1, 2, and 3 results, which leads us to believe that Google believes when you are searching for stuff like popcorn ceiling removal, it's, I believe, positioning that the intent might be that people are trying to do it themselves versus hiring a company to provide the service, hence why there's videos that are popping up showing how to remove popcorn ceiling, stuff like that. And then one of the last things that I have in my notes is I noticed that there are a lot of sister websites. Would probably definitely recommend getting rid of those and focusing all of your efforts on the main website, Faircloth Drywall. In the past, like 10 or 15, 20 years ago, there was kind of a little bit of a movement of people building doorway sites. We quickly all realized that that wasn't going to be the secret sauce. In essence, you're just diluting how much work has to be done. So say you have 3 websites, you're diluting backlinks to 3 different websites instead of them all going to one website, making that website stronger than the other 2. So like number of backlinks is important. And I feel as though the other 2 doorway sites, the popcorn texture removal.net and then the drywall sheet rockrepair.com. I do not believe that they are doing much for you. And so I would probably just abandon those as projects. But mainly, I think to rename these services pages and properly list out. So drywall services, that's fine and okay if we want to keep it that. But then I'm questioning if also then you want to create children pages under the drywall services, which might talk about sheetrock repair or sheetrock installation, those keywords. So breaking them down per section. And then obviously the painting one would be on its own. And I think like right now you have installation and repair as one page. I probably would either extract those out into 2 pages. So I would either have like drywall services, drywall or sheetrock installation, and drywall or sheetrock repair as additional services, or I would put them all under the drywall services, but breaking them out so that they each have their own page. And then the last thing that I would talk about is overall, the site, I would say, needs a fair amount of like rewriting just so that the content can all properly match the pages that we're talking about building. So like, for example, like here, when we were talking about if we were going to extract these out into 2 pages, then we want one page that's just strictly written about sheetrock installation. And then that way, installation, like right now, is only in this text 1, 2, 3, 4 times. We would obviously be getting better keyword density by rewriting the content to specifically match the title of the page. And just this right here is just, I think, trying to like cast the net for 2 different terms to all go to 1 page. I would probably split those out. And yeah, that was some of my big takeaways that I've kind of discovered.
Yeah, and I would say that last page that we were looking at, those are 2 radically different jobs for you, right, Mike? An installation job versus a repair job. You think about it completely different, probably load up the truck completely different for those 2 different jobs.
Correct.
Yep.
One thing that we did notice, both Raleigh and Durham, with those keywords, you're doing extremely well. Like we pretty much saw you positions, 1 and 2 for drywall repair, Durham, you're number 1 under sponsors. So you're right here, number 1. The drywall repair, Raleigh, I think you were like position 3, right? You're position 2. And so you seem to be doing pretty well there. What we noticed was that popcorn ceiling, you weren't necessarily doing as well for those terms. And then I'm wondering if that wouldn't improve once you link the popcorn ceiling removal page right here from the home page. And I guess I have a burning question that's been on my mind for an entire 24 hours now. And it's mainly out of curiosity. And if I'm missing something, or if it's just the way that it is and nobody knows why, but why are there so many links on the website that go to this drywall and sheetrock texture work page? Like I've noticed that there are not just this link right here. There was also many links throughout the copy of the pages. There would be like a link in the text. I would click it and then it would go there. And I just wasn't really sure why there was so much emphasis on linking to this page.
I will throw out one theory that just came to me while you were talking about that, Jake, is I wonder if this page used to have completely different content and it was more or less, kind of a popcorn removal page that just morphed over time.
No, I built that page back in, I built that with, back in 98, 99 for different types of textures that a lot of homeowners, popcorn is the main popular one, right? So, we do knockdowns, orange pills, but there's not much market for that in North Carolina. So back then, I didn't know that. So, but popcorn is the main thing now. So yeah, that page was built back then. That's all.
So
And-
there's no reason. And like, for example, the links could be updated. For example, like here, this popcorn removal, we could update that link to go to the popcorn removal page.
Correct. Where are you seeing
Okay.
the popcorn removal page?
That's a great question, because I'm not really seeing it much throughout the website, but I know that it exists. This popcorn sealing removal page. I'm just not finding a lot of links coming into this page.
Well, where is the page? Buckle, you built that page, right?
I did. And I think I built it originally for that front page to have something better to link to. I think that was the original idea. I don't know if we ever finished, blessing it and moving it to the varsity team, though, to become a real page, but Google found it.
Well, Google's going to find, for example, your...
Oh, because it was probably in the sitemap.
It is. I was going to say,
Because
anything in your
WordPress
page,
pushed it to the sitemap.
you've got drywall, sheetrock installation, drywall texture work, drywall serve. Or wait, where's it's popcorn, right?
Yep.
Yeah, popcorn ceiling removal right there. Last modified June 13th, 24. So I think that would be kind of a much more apropos page to link to. And for us to start focusing also throughout the website, anywhere where there's text talking about popcorn ceiling removal, linking back into this page so that we can tell Google, this is our most important page on our website for popcorn ceiling removal. And I'm wondering if that would help our rankings. Whereas right now, where I said the sheetrock installation and sheetrock repair were doing really well, but popcorn ceiling removal, this one alone, I don't even think your top 100. And then if I add like Raleigh, we then come up probably in about position 10 or 20. Our popcorn ceiling removal page is being indexed, and it is returning when I search for popcorn ceiling removal Raleigh. But I just question if it's so far down because, real quick, Mike, just to understand, but for Google to understand an importance of a page, we have either what you can call like on-site linking or off-site linking. So on-site linking means if I were to link, for example, this word Raleigh to our Raleigh page, that's considered an on-site backlink to our Raleigh page coming from the home page, for example. You can also get links coming from outside the website that link in. The point is that either one of those tells Google something is important here. There's a social signal saying, I'm linking there, so go and index that page, and then whatever the anchor text is, so if I said Raleigh, then that would tell Google that I'm saying that that page is important for the words Raleigh. And what I'm trying to say here is that because right now, the city pages and even the popcorn ceiling page don't have like any backlinks going to them from our own website. So therefore, we're telling Google, yeah, this page just isn't that important. Sure, it's in our database and index the page, but we're not even linking to it. So we don't really expect you to think that that page is that important either. So I feel as though as soon as that would get corrected, that then popcorn ceiling, that term, would start kind of showing up more alongside with the sheetrock repair and then the sheetrock installation terms.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that all feeds into the next chunk, which is the Google Business Profile. So we don't know the exact percentages for any of this, but the Google Business Profile takes its main cues from how Google is already viewing your business if you have a website. So they look at all the other ways that your business is being touched on the internet, from your website to if you're running ads to Yelp to whatever. However you're presenting your business online is what Google Business Profile is trying to consolidate to give people one place to find an idea about it. And the truth is that your Google Business Profile is pretty good. Most of it is filled out. You have the same problem every contractor does who doesn't work out of, a single office, which is we've got an area to cover. So that changes some things. although we have hours in there for you, it's not like you have a store that's open from 9 to 5 every day. I mean, we kind of put hours in, but most people who do work like this, drywallers or plumbers or carpenters, their hours are incredibly flexible. Your reviews are great. Having 74 reviews that are basically all 5-star reviews, great. Angie's List, you have a bunch of good reviews. So all of that bodes well for that. And one of the things that I started to do, if you scroll down just a little bit, Jake, to the bottom of his Google Business Profile, I started when those new blog posts that we put in there started going live, I stuck it in here as also a post, or I guess they call it an update for your Google Business Profile.
Check that link now.
This one?
Check the popcorn removal link that he was talking about. Click it. See if that's the right page.
Oh,
on my website.
Okay. Oh, you're changing stuff in real time for us?
Well, see if that's the page he's talking about.
Yep.
All right,
And
so
then you also link this one, link the bottom one as well.
Yeah, where it's red.
Link that one too to the same page?
Same page, yep.
Gotcha.
So part of the stuff that we just walked through should have a positive impact on your Google Business Profile as well. The other thing I noticed, here, let me share. So one of the things I did is I went over to Moz and I used it's called Moz Local, and put in the information that I took off the Google My Business for your online presence score. And this is how Google My Business is showing you. Faircloth Drywall, and then some other stuff that acts as your address. And then it says, here's places that you're showing up and here's places where you're not showing up. So part of the thing is what Google and all of these really want is they want you to be exactly the same everywhere. If you're at, 100 Main Street in Cary, North Carolina, they want you to list your address as 100 Main Street, Cary, North Carolina, every single place you go. So one of the things I was thinking that might be helpful for us moving forward is we'll decide how exactly you want to list where you are in the middle of your work circle, which is, let me see if it says in here where your location is.
Man, it's
Probably
not
want to
allowing
go
me.
into edit
The hell?
profile.
Oh. So it's not even showing it in there, but I forget exactly what your street
Go back
address
to
is,
that
but
real quick. I just wanted to see the go back to edit profile. I was trying to look at the link there. I thought maybe it was a non-HTTPS link for a second. I think it was under location. Okay. No,
here?
never mind. It's right. It's right.
Okay. So one of the things we can do, Mike, is we'll decide exactly what you want to put in there as your home base, whatever it is, right? Route 751 with the zip code and all that. We'll put that in a little text page, and then we'll copy and paste it into all these other places that are looking for it. So we'll make sure Facebook has the exact same spelling and punctuation for your address. We'll make sure Bing has it. We'll make sure, I don't even know what some of these are, Easy Local, Judy's Book, US City, all of them, right? So you can see these guys all have the same one, 7606 NC Highway 751. But maybe some of these, maybe My Local Services has 7606 NC Highway #751, or it just has NC 751. So all of that can help send a signal to Google Business Profile that you really are who you are and you're at this location. So that's one of those you just kind of slog through and make sure they're all identical. It's probably not killing you, but it's not helping you either. It's just, squishy in the middle. And if we can push you up a little bit in the Google Business Profile, all the better. So that's one of the things that we were looking at. Because when we looked at a lot of the other factors for you, it looks like, as Jake was just saying, it's the popcorn ceiling removal that has faded away. The other aspects of the business, whether it's installation or repairs, seem to be holding strong. So we think through some of the stuff that we've poked around that it's partially your site. We're not doing a good enough job of saying, yes, we are popcorn experts. And that we can talk more about it within your Google business profile. We can put up pictures of you the next time you're doing popcorn removal, have one of your boys take a picture of you doing it, and then we can write a blog post about that, and we can link it down here when we do those updates. So part of that is just grinding away at popcorn ceiling removal because we've let it slide. And that happens a lot. When you're doing something good for a long time and Google keeps delivering, you kind of stop looking at it.
Real quick to touch on that though, real quick, is that when you mentioned the creating the blog, the way that I would like to see that work is that if you did create a blog and it talked anything about popcorn ceiling removal, when those terms came up in that blog, that you linked the popcorn ceiling removal back to this page. Like, I want all of the pages that talk about popcorn ceiling removal to all link back up to the main page. That way we're giving clear signals to Google. When people search for popcorn ceiling removal, we want for this page to come up. Now, I did say, for example, that like on the Raleigh page, we want to talk about like popcorn ceiling removal there as well. So if somebody searches for popcorn ceiling removal Raleigh in the search term, then I want that Raleigh page to show. But if it's just popcorn ceiling removal, I want for that to go up into the home page, or not the home page, but the hierarchy of the popcorn ceiling removal pages.
Gotcha.
Right.
All right.
Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I got a question with this. So you know about, I'm sure you do, but I mean, internal links and external links. So if you go to the main page, my website, where it says popcorn removal, and you click it, click the little X, it takes you to, that page. Okay. Now, when you say redo the one on the bottom too, so I did that. So what that is, that's not creating a kind of like a spam because you're going straight to the same page.
No, you can have multiple links on your site all going to the same page. You could have different anchor text in them, meaning that let's say you had a widgets page, and I have a link called red widgets that points to that page, and a link called blue widgets that points to that page. Completely fine to have two different terms going to that page, and it's just telling Google that this page, hopefully it contains the words red widgets and blue widgets. And if it does, then this page can rank for terms like a red widget or a blue widget, because A, we got backlinks coming into it that are titled that, and those keywords are then found on that page. So real quick here, Phil, just scroll down to the X. That's what he was referring to. So what we just did is the popcorn removal, that is a link. Right? So we're saying that page has importance for the word popcorn removal. And then the second link, read more about popcorn ceiling removal. Technically, we just told Google that page is also important for the words read, the words more, the words about, the words popcorn, the word ceiling, and the word removal. Right? So like, we didn't technically have to link that whole thing, but there's no harm in doing so. Like, we're not going to get penalized because we linked read, more, and about. That's completely fine, but there's nothing wrong with having these two links both going to that page. If anything, the more links that we get to that page, the more that we're telling Google, this is the popcorn ceiling removal page on our site.
Gotcha.
Right. You can't really spam yourself. So Google looks at internal linking differently, and it says, everybody has the most links back to their homepage. But after that, whatever you're linking to, Google takes that as a signal of the hierarchy of importance of those pages.
So you don't think it would be better to link that one to my popcornremoval.net?
No.
Okay.
Because at that point you're diluting your juice, and you're sending it like back to where I'd originally said to get rid of the two sister websites. That touches specifically on that, is that we don't want to dilute we used to call it link juice. It used to be called PR for page rank juice. We don't really use those terms anymore because in essence, they tell us not to use those terms, but we still use it because we still think of it like it's link juice. And the best way I can give you an analogy of that, Mike, is think about it like if we were in high school, you just came to the high school, or say you were my younger brother, you just got to the school, and I stand up in the cafeteria and I say, hey, my boy Mike there, he's really cool, right? So that would be the equivalent of like a link. I just linked to you. I gave a social signal that I'm giving you some of my reputation juice, my link juice, so to speak. But then if I even added, hey, that's my younger brother Mike, and he's really good at drywalling being the anchor of the link, right? Well, now people know that you're important, and you're also important for drywalling. Does that kind of explain like linking and anchor text linking? It's simply pointing at something, saying, I think that that page is important, and I think it's important for these words.
Gotcha. Yeah, I understand.
And then one thing I left off of when we were talking about those services pages, but right now, I truly believe that the services pages are I'm sorry, not services pages, your city pages are way too templated. We really need to have very unique content on each one of those, and not just like swapping out the city name, so to speak. Google will start ranking those as duplicate content, and not really letting them stand up.
What do you mean by templated? I don't understand.
Like I'll give you an example. Phil, scroll down, or I could just share real quick here.
Yeah.
So for example, like on all of your city pages, you have this same section here, but you just added happy drywall customers in Cary, right? Like it's just like the word, and I could bring them up to give you specific examples. I'll bring up the sitemap, and then I'll bring up like the Cary one and Holly Springs. So drywall repair, Apex, and Burlington, for example. So here you can see that at least finally somebody put the word Apex up there. See that, Phil? The city name made it into the title. But like this page, for example, Burlington's not in the H1 tag up here, which it should be. We don't need that secondary slide on this page. But then when I look at, it's like the word was just serving Burlington. So this was replaced up here with the city name. So this one, bad example of the Apex one, because it doesn't look like these two. Let's do Carborough as well, see if it, okay, perfect example. So it looks like the Apex one was kind of done right, as in like Apex is up here, but we'll get rid of that one, for example. Look at Burlington and look at Carborough. So both of these pages have the exact same H1 tag on them. This one just says serving Carborough, NC, and surrounding areas. This one says serving Burlington, NC, and surrounding areas. See how this is all templated. Like our services, we specialize in it's like a template where you've just swapped out the city names.
Yeah, it's called cloning.
Right. Well, Google doesn't like that. So you can clone all you want, but Google wants unique content on each one of these pages, or else you run the risk of them just all kind of now, don't get me wrong. See, somebody didn't add the in Burlington on this page, but see here it's added in the Carborough. What I was going to say is I don't have that much of an issue if, say, this section is on all of the pages and that word is swapped out right there, as long as like all of the meat and potatoes, like I want for this, first of all, I want the word Carborough up in the H1 tag. That's number one. Second of all, I want for all of the text on this page to talk about drywall repair in Carborough, drywall installation in Carborough, and popcorn ceiling removal in Carborough. And then each one of, so say those were the three sections right here, right? Let's say it didn't say this. Say it said drywall repair in Carborough, sheetrock installation Carborough, popcorn removal in Carborough. Well, I was good. Okay, so if you remove the Carborough there and it just said drywall repair, sheetrock installation, and popcorn, those could all link to the main services pages as well. like backlinking those up to the parent ones as well, if that makes sense. So the city
Yeah.
ones, the city pages should touch on the 3 main service pages, right? Because you provide all of those services for each one of the cities. And therefore, I think it would be good backlinks. But I mean, in essence, that's what these are right here. Obviously, this link has to get updated on probably all of the city pages to go to the popcorn removal page. But and what I was just trying to touch on there is that for all of the city pages, we have to kind of somewhat untemplate them if we want them to thrive on their own.
And I think part of what you can do on these, and I think we might have done it on a different website that we worked on together, Mike, is to change out that blurb at the top to be something like you do a quick Google search and you say, what are the best neighborhoods in Scarborough? And it'll list 3 or 4 or 5 of them. Some realtor, I'm sure, wrote about it. So then in the blurb at the top, you say, from neighborhood A to neighborhood B to neighborhood C, we love doing drywall repair in Scarborough, or whatever, right? It can still be cloned and templated, but you have to put in more work than just.
So it could be like Scarborough drywall repair, serving like Scarborough and surrounding like city names. Like you could just name out like 4 or 5 of them in this secondary title. And then
that's a good idea.
The whole paragraph here should talk about Scarborough, popcorn ceiling removal, sheetrock installation, and drywall repair, all in and around Scarborough. And then, for example, if you ever had a blog post that talked about Scarborough, embedded on this page. If you had a YouTube video done about a project in Scarborough, put it on this page. If you had photos from a job that you did at a house in Scarborough, nothing wrong with having like a photo gallery right on this page that shows here's all the jobs that we've done in Scarborough. Right. These are all just kind of example ideas to help you think of what type of content do we mean when we say like flesh out more topic relevant content on these pages.
Gotcha. I just checked every one of those pages too, and every one of them are linked to the drywall services. So that means I got to go through each page and do the same, unlink it, and then link it back to the popcorn removal.
Yeah, for the popcorn removal one. And then you'll also have to do, if and when you fix the drywall services to just be the drywall services page, not talking about Raleigh, then you have to come back through and link all of these up to the drywall services page, not the drywall services Raleigh page.
Wow.
Let me give you a quick example of what we're talking about. Let me see. So this is from 2 Cabinet Girls. And after every job they do, it is 100% a templated page. It's always the same. There's a big picture at the top. There's more pictures at the bottom, but the middle, even the middle is templated, but there's a blurb that talks about that specific job. And then this was from 6 or 7 years ago when I said, here's what you want on those pages, what you worked on, where it is. So now we have a neighborhood name and the city, and then other stuff. Oh, it was a spray finish. They did countertops. They did all sorts of stuff. All this is keyword dense for this page. And there's dozens, probably hundreds of these on there over and over and over again with all this on there. But it's 100% templated. And so once you figure it out, you can just go forward.
If somebody scroll down real quick, if somebody Googled for white countertops in Longleaf Estates, for example, like obviously it's probably not a search that someone's making, just simply trying to point, the more content that you put on the page, the more potential that you have of capturing someone's search because you got more keywords on that page.
Gotcha.
Right. And I'll tell you one funny thing about this. They've done so many of them. And that means this type of thing is in over and over and over, whatever paint color it was, and it's almost always Sherwin-Williams, that this site now ranks crazy for all the Sherwin-Williams paints.
Paint colors.
Yep. She's like in the top 3 for every
No.
Sherwin-Williams paint color.
Well,
Sure
if the 3 of us get on this, we can do it all in 30 minutes.
There's probably some truth there. All right, let me check. What else were we going to talk about today? Oh, the reviews and engagement. Let's talk a little bit about that. You've got great reviews. Oh, let me go back to your website. You've got great reviews, and you even highlight some of them. Where is it? Down here. But one of the things we noticed is this is good. I'm glad that's good because I think I told you to put this here. But you have a page on here that talks about the reviews. And this could be a little just prettier. That was one of the things I was going to say. Maybe you have 3 icons or boxes or something that makes it easy. And, say, leave us a review on Google, leave us a review on Yelp, leave us a review on Facebook, and then maybe underneath see our reviews on Google, Yelp, and Facebook, which are the big 3 for you. But again, it's just one of those things that we can link to this page a lot, because when I see reviews on a website like this, I always think, well, those are bullshit, because why would anyone put anything but their absolute best reviews on their website? So this is great because people see it, but then they think, well, is that real? So having the link here to Google and Yelp and some of the other review pages, I think is good. Keep doing that. Whatever you're doing is working great. You must ask for reviews after every job because you get a ton of them. And the way you ask for reviews must be working. They all seem to be good.
Most people are lazy review writers. They don't.
Yeah.
They tell you they will, but they don't. You send them a link and they still don't. So,
right.
I mean, I've done millions of jobs, so, all my reviews are legit from homeowners. I don't, I get to people all the time asking me to buy. I'm not doing a dishonesty thing, so, they're all, I mean, you can look at, anybody that writes a review, you can click on there and see how many reviews they've actually written around the
right.
community. So that tells you if they're legit or not.
Yeah,
alone.
For sure. And they're good. So nothing to worry about. Just keep doing what you're doing there. That all looks good. And they do have an impact on your Google My Business or Google Business Profile. The higher up you are, the better. One of the things Jake and I talked about was when we were looking at this, we talked about the maps, because one of the things you said was you used to show up in the maps for a lot of stuff where it shows just 3 or 4 guys and plots them on the map. When you do a review for something like in here, we put in
I just pulled one up through Drywall Installation Raleigh.
okay, here, why don't you take it then, Jake? And we'll just talk about what we were doing. And the interesting thing on those, Mike, is a lot of times if you click through on the map, you'll see that you are in there. You're just not showing up on the unexpanded map.
Correct.
And that's just one more place you compete to be at the top of the organic listings.
But I think there where you're competing against, like, for example, I'm down in this area, and I bet you that, like, these are going to be skewed based on my location. Like I was just going to say, I bet you that Carlos is like #1 kind of thing. Carlos is here 3. Wake Handyman Western, he's right here. This guy's got to be not far behind Crankston or whatever. But the point is, you are in here. The question there becomes, if, say, for example, Google knows that my geographical location is right here, then it's going to behoove Google to show me these 3 guys and not you if you're maybe up in this area, or that you're just including the whole entire section. And that kind of leads me to a thought of, might it be better in this type of situation to and I'm not saying on this case specifically, I'm just saying if you compared somebody that uses a geographical region versus somebody that has a specific address, does the specific address person do better overall? Because then anybody that's searching in and around them is going to have yours all the way at the top. Does that kind of make sense? And I don't necessarily know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, they did change to where, you know, they give them the results in the top 3 in your general map location closest to you. But, you know, they don't want to throw up 3 guys up there that's got a 4.2 star. They got 4 or 5 different bad reviews. Google looks, I mean, from what I'm understanding, Google looks at the overall of it as well, because when you go in your GMB, you clearly put your service area, and you know, you can't make a living. I can't make a living on Durham alone. I can't just put Durham, North Carolina. It's not going to happen. This is not like Houston. Okay. So, you know, me servicing Raleigh, Holly Springs, and all the cities that I serve is within, you know, 45-minute commute one way to take to get that job. So Google will look at that, and they'll say, okay, this guy's got a 4.9, 5.5.0. So GMB, from what GMB is different from organic, you know. So I'm like you. I really don't have you know, I don't have the answer for it either. Why they all of a sudden, because I was number 1 because of who I am. I've been around 35 years. They, you know, they know that. So, but I don't know, their last algorithm update, they said, okay, we're going to put Faircloth down here at number 10. We're going to move these people in. I mean, I built a GMB page for my son. Here's an example. Okay. Because I don't service Hillsborough area. So I put a GMB up for my son. I just slapped it together. I just said, you know, a 24-hour drywall repair and Hillsborough, North Carolina. And I put Elon, boom. Soon as I got that card in, whatever, it showed up number 1, the top 3 spots, and it's still there, you know. So, you know, I don't know. And he lives here, but I used his girlfriend. And listen to this, I used his girlfriend's address. So that might be, you know, because it has her address, you know,
And
clearly.
she's up there.
She's up there, correct.
Right.
Because I guess my thought there becomes, let's just say that you pick Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill as your 3 cities that you provide a service for. And let's just say your competitor is only in Chapel Hill and they have an address in Chapel Hill. And I search for popcorn ceiling removal in Chapel Hill. I would expect their listing to show above yours.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it's went to. I mean, it really does.
But the beauty is also, I will say, you are like, while we've been talking here, I've been searching different terms in different cities, and you're always in there. Like as soon as I jumped over to Durham, you were over there. Holly Springs, popcorn ceiling removal, yeah. Holly Springs.
There just ain't no money in Durham.
You're just not at the top. I just think that's one of the biggest problems right now with these. Exactly. You're not at the top. But in full transparency, this is how I shop for a service. I come to this little page right here, and then I search for, say, popcorn ceiling that I've misspelt. But this is what I do. If I had to get my popcorn ceiling removed and I'm in Raleigh, I come here and I search by numbers of reviews and how high it is. So like 54 and a 4.9, 25 at a 5.0, a 5.0. I'm not calling JLS Drywall ever because they only have 35 and they got a 4.6. Carlos, I'd call him. He's got, you know, so for me personally, what I would do at this point is, because I said, again, I'm down in this area down in here, I'd probably start looking at the closest ones and finding somebody who's got 5 stars with a lot of reviews, because I would know they're doing good work, right? Like these will, to me, this is a sure tell sign of when there's smoke, there's fire. JLS clearly doesn't have the same level of customer service that, say, some of these other people do, I would say.
Yeah, and I'll I'll give you the same spiel I give everybody when they come to me and say, oh my God, I got a bad review. One bad review won't sink you, because in some respects, if you look at somebody and they have 22 all 5-star reviews, I start to think, come on, nobody can pull that off. Like everybody, no matter how good you are, is occasionally going to piss off some customer about something. So
like this
me,
customer, clearly a
right.
real customer.
Well, what happened to me is actually this. So, and I had it out with Google. So, I mean, popcorn removal and drywall, you know, is the same thing. It is the same contractor, because I sprayed that stuff since 77, right? Well, when popcorn removal came along and such customers started calling me, you know, a little bell went off in my head and said, you know what? I'm just going to build a separate site targeting nothing popcorn removal. Well, I built another GMB page for popcorn removal, and that thing, you know, lit up like fire. It was #1 in every city. Well, about 6, 7, well, it's been about a year now. They suspended it because they figured out that Faircloth and me were the same one, right? Okay. Well, they had did that before, like 4 years ago. So then when I went in there, I went in there with a couple of emails, and then they sent me a number, and I actually could call them. And it's some guy in India. I said, listen, you got to understand, they are the same business, but they're two different businesses. In other words, popcorn removal trucks go out in one business, drywall repair goes out in another business. So they reinstated it, believe it or not. Now, about a year ago, they said, no, we're not doing that anymore. So they hacked it again. They just took it off. So that's what really hurt me from getting calls from popcorn removals. They took my GMB listing down. It's still disabled. Now, what I have done is this. I went and had new signs put on my truck, costing me $500, $600, and it says strictly popcorn removal. Okay. So I have to do a video of my truck in that driveway, basically walking through the front door, and then send that to them. But I'm thinking, you know, that's an awful lot, you know, to try to get my business reinstated. So I scratched that at this point and said, you know, let me just try to get the Faircloth Drywall GMB up there under popcorn removal. That's what I've been trying to do, instead of going and trying to reinstate my old one. It sounds more logical to do.
Yeah,
And,
I think in the long run, that's the right answer.
Correct. And, you know, and everybody, you know, and I've talked to several people, and, you know, and all of them will guarantee, because look, you only have so much to do on GMB. You can't, I mean, you know, there's only so much you can do. There's it's not like a website. So the only thing I can do is go back into that GMB listing, and where it says services that you provide, go back in there and rewrite those. Because if you look at what I got in there, it's really not what they're asking me to give them. And I took a hard look at that. So I don't know if y'all noticed any of that.
What's the name of that GMB page?
Faircloth Drywall.
Isn't that your main one?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
what's the one you're saying
set
that
up
you
for popcorn
said?
removal?
Oh, the one they disabled?
Oh, it's
Yes.
disabled now.
Yeah, it's disabled.
So personally, to me, this doesn't sound kosher. Like, it does not sound like something you should be doing. Creating multiple GMB pages for your keywords. Google is not going to like that one bit. You're supposed to have one GMB page for your business. So
Correct.
No surprise at all that they've caught on to that, because that would be very easy for them to track back, like the Mike at Faircloth email is on that website. And, you know, somebody would just have to put eyes on it to see, this is some form of a doorway kind of thing. So what's the question there specifically on those GMB pages?
Which one?
Well, you brought up this secondary GMB page. Did you have a question about that, or did you just need confirmation that that wasn't the right thing to do?
Oh, I know. Well, it again, they took it off 6 years ago. And then, like I said, I went through emails and finally got him on the phone and explained to him that, popcorn removal, we don't do any drywall repairs. We're there strictly to remove the popcorn. So I guess the guy reinstated it, and it stayed up for, up until about a year ago. And then Google said, okay, I think these two are the same business. So they, instead of suspending Faircloth Drywall, they suspended the popcorn removal GMB.
So it sounds to me a little bit like, for example, if I'm hearing you correctly, very similar to if I say, for example, said, well, I've got some people at Dirigo that do pay-per-click, and then I've got other people at Dirigo that do SEO, and maybe my pay-per-click guy doesn't do organic SEO at all, and vice versa. Then does that give me the right to have a GMB page for Dirigo SEO and then Dirigo pay-per-click because I state that the person doing the work, or the quote unquote, the van or the truck, that they don't do the same work, but yet it's still the same business?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It is the same business. There's no doubt. I mean, they are, but you just
Right.
had two different names.
Mm-hmm. And again, I truly believe that, or I have a theory that fixing your, like we said, we didn't feel as though your rankings had been tarnished as much on the drywall repair and drywall installation. It really seemed to be with that popcorn ceiling removal. And
Right.
I have a very serious hunch that it was not properly linked on the website. Therefore, we weren't really telling Google what's our important popcorn ceiling removal page. And it was just scrambling to try and fill the void, if that makes sense. Like, get a page in there, but yet put it further down the list because it really wasn't fully matching popcorn ceiling removal. It was talking about like textures and stuff like that.
Right.
So I question if you clean that up, that piece of it, if that won't also ultimately get you back up in the top of those maps listing for the popcorn ceiling removal.
You think so?
I have a theory of that. If anything, we know for a fact that that is the way that the website should be set up and constructed. Now, how that might impact the Google Maps listings, not 100% sure on that. That would be something that I would do some testing after I fixed the page and then got every page on the website properly linking back to it. And then after, if then, because like when we do, not sheetrock, what's the other word for sheetrock? We've been talking. Thank you. I was gonna say we've been saying it all day. Drywall. Let's do drywall repair Raleigh. Well, we already know that. We already know drywall repair Raleigh. You are coming up. See, Phil, it's doing that thing again.
Yeah.
There we go. Drywall repair Raleigh. I guess my question there was going to become under the businesses. Well, you're still down on the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Fair. And then let's try Durham real quick, or let's try the installation, see if that one. So you're showing there. And then if I say did Durham, showing there. But now if I did popcorn ceiling removal Raleigh, you are showing up for that one.
Just do popcorn removal Raleigh. That was the 3 keywords I used to put in, just 3. Popcorn removal Cary, popcorn removal Raleigh, and it would show up. But again, that was the old GMB that I had. They suspended that, so it's gone away.
Mm-hmm.
So my job is my thing is now is to get it to show up, the Faircloth Drywall to show up under popcorn removal, because a lot, Google doesn't know that I'm the man that sprayed it. Google doesn't know that painting companies never sprayed 1 gallon of it. Now these painting companies that are coming up in there, they advertise to scrape it, but they don't have the knowledge that I do in it, period. And Google doesn't know that. Google doesn't know that Mike has 45 years of experience with popcorn. So the painting companies have 0 experience because they never sprayed the stuff. I have, because it is a drywall material. So with that in mind, I got to make my thing is to let Google know, hey, the drywall contractor is the most experienced with popcorn, period. So
let me chime in on the popcorn removal Raleigh versus popcorn ceiling removal. So looking at Ahrefs for search volume, popcorn ceiling removal, and of course this is across the whole country, has 11,000 searches a month. Popcorn removal, so leaving out ceiling, only has 1.4 thousand searches a month. So it's basically 10x as many people searching for popcorn ceiling removal. So just something to keep in mind as you're putting stuff out online,
gotcha.
Whether it's anchor text or page titles or any of that. You should
there.
Throw ceiling in there.
You would assume that to just default down to popcorn removal.
Yeah, you'd be picking up a popcorn.
It could be I dropped a bag of popcorn on the floor and I want somebody to come pick it up. You know what I mean? If we're going to be exact about what these words mean, ceiling there would be very important to the search.
Right. But the reason I was putting just popcorn ceiling, popcorn removal in the city was to see. My idea was just to see how strong it was, just those minimum keywords. Just put in popcorn Durham, see how strong it is. Because I used to be able to do that. I could put in popcorn Durham because I live in Durham, and it would show up. Literally, my site would. Because
I was just going to say, I wonder if what's changed is Google no longer considers that query to be somebody looking for somebody to do it for them. So here's the position history over the last 6 months. You can see there's not a ton of change. A couple of people have come in and others have dropped out, but it's Home Depot, who of course owns every DIY category. Some YouTube videos, a Reddit in the drywall subreddit, another YouTube, Architectural Digest story on how to do it yourself, Stack Exchange, which I'm sure is a DIY how to do it yourself, another person doing it yourself. This blog post from Homelight is probably how somebody did it themselves, and another video how to do it yourself. So I wonder if that's part of it, Mike, which is just they figured out that if somebody types in popcorn ceiling removal, what they're really asking is, how do I do it? Not, can I find someone to do it for me?
Correct. Well, I mean, that's anything. I mean, if I want to put a new well pump on my pump, I mean, I'm going to type in, those keywords, and then maybe I can find something that I can do it myself and save a buck. I mean, I've even built my websites to explain, DIY, how if you decide to do it yourself. I mean, so
right.
Google loves that, or they did. Again, I'm not up to date on any of this. I haven't done any work on website stuff in over, a year and a half.
Right. But Google also, over time, will look at a query and determine, they're always trying to figure out what are the best few results to give to people so that they click through to the right thing. And all of it's tracked and all of it's looked at. And maybe over time, especially, what they figured out is maybe 10 years ago when people typed in popcorn ceiling removal, the clicks that they were seeing people do was, Joe's Popcorn Removal Company. And over time, that has changed. And that's possible. I bet for people looking for how to repair cars, it's become more the other way as cars have become more complex and people can't just pull the carburetor off anymore. I bet that's gone the other direction where people are doing less auto repair than they used to. So maybe it's just life is starting to change a little, and that's the answer. What you just said is we can put some content on there that talks more about how to do it yourself and when to call a professional.
I think the words how to there are really important because I keep seeing like the top ranking result, how to remove popcorn ceilings. I feel like as soon as you add how to, your intent now has become, I want to do it myself. And I was just thinking, like, for example, like right now I need to replace the headlights on my car. Ironically, both of them have gone at the exact same time. And I don't feel like if I went and I Google searched Honda Accord hybrid LED headlights, I feel like my intent is purchasing at that point. Now, if I added anywhere in there the words how to, then Google should understand, well, now his intent is probably that he wants to do it himself. So I'm just kind of surprised that, and I don't know the answer to this question, if, and I'm sure that they do, if for different keywords, Google will tag or associate different intents to those keywords.
I think if you put in near me, then it changes it, because now what you're seeing is I need someone near me to do it.
That does it. That does it. Yeah. Maybe that's a good idea of like, real quick to touch on that, but I don't think we've anywhere optimized in this website the words near me.
Well, I think the city pages do that too. If you put popcorn ceiling removal Durham, it's
right,
obvious that you don't want to do it yourself.
And remember what we talked about was adding the near me to all of the city pages titles. Remember?
Right.
Because we had said like we want the Raleigh or near me in and around that area, Durham in and around near me. All that I'm getting at is over the past 10 years, near me has really crept up to be a search term that is used a lot. And so it would probably benefit us to be building our website to include the words near me.
Yes, I agree with that.
I concur.
Thank you, Doctor. All right. Any other questions, Mike, in particular that we didn't touch on?
No, I think everything's good. I mean, that we talked about, definitely some good insight on changing that stuff. I mean, changing those links to link to the popcorn pages, the popcorn content instead of the texture page.
Right.
Now, I have totally forgotten what he said about the other stuff.
That's all right. We can go back in the video and show it.
Drywall texture needs to be fixed.
Right.
And, and once all those pages are done, that link that up, see if I show up in GMB. Again, I don't know how GMB and your personal website work together. I had a couple of people tell me that it does. I hired a guy off of Fiverr to do some backlinking for me, some really good stuff. But, he says it goes hand in hand. So I don't know.
When you put into your Google My Business that you have a website, then it's going to look at it for more information so that it can try to evaluate your business. He's right. It all goes into the pot and gets stirred in.
Right. Well, the thing also about the AI, I just now noticed on my website that Divi Builder they offer AI content. I haven't experimented with it, but, I will agree with him on that nobody, I'm not a writer. Okay. I went to the 9th grade, man. So, but as far as knowledge and content, nobody is going to put more knowledge and content when it comes to popcorn and drywall than me. Google and AI can say, do this, this, and this, and this, and this. But there's so many things, shortcuts, fixes that I could help people with. But the problem is I don't know how to, use those words, that makes sense to a lot of people, because I'm not a writer, man. Does that make sense?
You're in luck, because Jake said something yesterday that we didn't touch on, which is you've got half a dozen videos out there, and I'm sure it's just one of your boys with his camera, taking pictures of his old man acting like a crazy drywaller. But
Right.
if that's easier for you to do it that way, sit down on your bucket of joint compound at the end of the day and have your boy aim the camera at you and talk for 5 minutes about why that popcorn ceiling job was such a pain in the neck, or what made it easy, or whatever.
Right.
Because as we've already seen, the YouTube videos are crushing it, especially for the DIY stuff. So if you're like, hey, this was hard and this is why it was hard, look at how I did this, that, or the other thing, that will probably rank good. So if you don't want to write, don't write.
Well, here's a good example of a video or blog post that I was going to put that you're not going to find on Google. So if you go to Google, you type in how to properly install corner bead in a house. Well, it's probably going to tell you to do this and this and this. And in the drywall world, you got drywall hangers out there that are just, they're working for a contractor and a builder, and they're only getting so much per board to do the job. So they're going to flash through it. So if you notice in a lot of houses in your own homes, the outside corner bead, when you go around a corner, if you ever notice there's cracks, usually there's a crack going up that corner bead about 1.5 inches from the edge of the corner. Well, the reason that happens is because the drywall guy, when he hung the drywall, he didn't make that corner, because when it was framed, the stud there, it's a true 90. If you put a square on it, it's a true 90 outside corner. Well, if you hang one side of the wall and you hold the drywall back a little bit, and then you only hang the drywall to the stud on the front side and on the other side. Well, if you put a square on it, there's a big chunk of drywall missing right there. So when you put the bead on, there's a hollow spot going all the way through the center. It doesn't have the support that it needs. So, and I've told these hangers time and time again, when you hang my houses, if I reach out to them and I get real busy, I say, when you hang this corner, you hang the drywall on one stud, but when you put that other piece on, I want that drywall to go all the way out to the outside of that edge of that other drywall. So when I put my corner bead on, it's solid. They're solid. It's filled up. So these drywall people don't do that. So I was going to make a blog on that, on how to properly install it, because you're not going to find that nowhere. Those are things that I know that I could do, but it's one of those things, just doing it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's exactly what we talked about, is what's the day when you're not absolutely swamped that you can say, all right, let's take a half an hour and do a video. That it's tough. You either just decide, screw it, I'm going to cut a chunk out of this day and do this, or you never get to it. So,
right.
And I will add real quick though, as a suggestion, I wouldn't necessarily, and I don't know if Phil, this was exactly what you were suggesting, but I heard you say that you're not a writer, and I can respect that, because I'm not a writer either. And I went to college and I hate writing. I hate reading and I hate writing. That's why I do web design. But what I'm trying to say here is that, unfortunately, the meat and potatoes that Google is looking for to come eat are words. And so, I think that the long-term benefit that you would get out of hiring an SEO writer, even if you cannot do it yourself, I think that would be the right thing to do, instead of, like, for example, skimping on the content and just putting a video up there. I feel as though that copy, whether or not you're a good writer or not, that is what Google is looking to come and chew through. So I just feel like there needs to be a certain amount of importance given to that, because again, like I said, once it's done right, that will pay off for you for 5, 10, 15 years, right? That will never stop paying off for you. And I do believe that your copy is going to be very important to your SEO rankings.
Yeah, and the beauty is you don't have to write it directly yourself. Like Jake said, So you could just speak into your phone and have it transcribe that and then hand that story,
You could,
right? Whatever story you
record the
tell.
video and send the video to the writer and have them
Yep.
write the page for you, whichever
Right.
way that you need to get it over there. But I feel like it needs to be said that whether or not you're good at it or not, or you want to do it or not, that at the end of the day, Google is going to be looking for it.
Yes.
And that's how they rank pages.
Right. Well, hiring a good content writer, of course, you have to find them on Fiverr. The thing is that I have to sit down and tell them what I'm trying to do, and then maybe they can just reword it, because I still got to write it down the way that, what I want them to say, so that they can look at it and go, yeah, we got to rewrite this, man. This is horrible.
But that's what everybody does, right? Every single company out there, no matter how smart the person is that has the knowledge in their head, has somebody who takes that concept that's in their
Always.
head and makes it search friendly. Everybody does that. So it's not just you. There's very few people who natively can write well for the web. It is a learned skill.
Give you an example. Say you did a video, and in your whole entire video, you just talked about, you used the word drywall, but you never used the word sheetrock. An SEO writer should know that they have to have the word sheet. Like, they're going to go look at what are the supporting keywords in and around this keyword that I also need to include while I'm writing, which is important as well.
Yeah.
Never thought of that.
I did happen to notice that it looks like Handyman are Google screened now, Google screen / guaranteed. And I don't know if you could set that up to only receive calls for drywall.
I don't know. That'd be a question for Buckley.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Well, so Handyman Raleigh, for example, like that is sponsored, Google guaranteed, the handyman category. So Mike, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this Google guaranteed or Google sponsored, but in essence, it's Google's way of trying to sell a dumbed down version of their Google ads. And it is now trumping the search results. So like if you Google Handyman Raleigh, at the top, it has sponsored, Google guaranteed. But so I don't think, though, I feel like you're going to have to get all, I don't know. I know that when you set up Handyman, it's going to ask you what services do you provide. And I'm hoping that, say, if you only had sheetrock selected, then you wouldn't show up for things like Handyman Durham, and you would only show up for like sheetrock. But again, if you Google like sheetrock Raleigh, that's sponsored results. It's not going to be the guaranteed results. So I don't know if that will work like we wanted. All that I was trying to say there is that certain people have had good results with the Google guaranteed as far as getting calls. The only problem will become when they start getting too many calls. Like I have a client who's an electrician. They really want to focus on selling generators. We had them up there for a while under the electrician category, and they were getting a bunch of calls about somebody wanting a service plate replaced, where they're like, this just isn't worth our time. Like these aren't big enough contracts. So, and I don't think like drywall or sheetrock though are going to fire the guaranteeds. I think it has to have the word handyman in there.
Yeah.
So I would probably say negative on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did that, didn't I, Phil?
Local search ads is what it's called.
Yeah,
we
ran a little bit. It wasn't much. It was, what was it, $100 a month or something, Mike? It was something minimal, but it didn't really move the needle. So
yeah.
No.
Now, if, for example, if the drywall thing fired that Google guaranteed, I would absolutely recommend that you do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it just automatically puts you to the top of the page whenever somebody's searching for drywall.
Right, but they hit you per click, correct?
Yeah, every click that you get or call that you get charged, and then you can contest them. Like you could tell them like, hey, this call on this date was a useless call kind of thing, and they'll refund your money. But yeah. Oh,
Gotcha.
oh, carpenters.
Carpenters.
But again, notice that you search drywall and it's showing you painters.
Well, here, if I change it to Durham Drywall Professionals, now I'm seeing drywall installers.
installers.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if this also pushes you up the local.
I don't believe so. Like that would just go back to the whole theory back in the day. Like if you paid for pay-per-click that you would get better organic results, which we never were able to prove that.
No. Matter of fact, I
Right.
think they'll push you back further.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I don't think the two are connected at all. But I would look into that drywall installers, because if you could only have your guaranteed add fire when it includes the word like drywall installation or drywall repair, then to me this would be worth the money. But you're not going to know that until you test it.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, I mean, setting up a Google guaranteed account is 10 times easier than setting up a Google AdWords account.
Thank God.
Maybe 20 times easier. Like it doesn't take a whole day to set up the campaign and the ad groups and the ad copy and the keywords and the location and the hours. And like, I mean, it's never ending.
And so let's see. So this guy showed up for it. Yeah. So he's in as a handyman who
But
installs drywall.
He's firing because he has drywall installation set up
Right.
as one of his services. Like services on the right there, install drywall.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if you could set yourself up as maybe a handyman and then
That's exactly
only
what
check
he did.
and only do the drywall stuff. But wait a minute, isn't there, that looks like two. There's a handyman and then an install drywall one.
I think this is how you get it to fire, and these are the services.
Services. Yep.
Gotcha.
That's interesting.
I feel as though that might work pretty well for you. And there's some people where I don't say that. Like for example, my electrician that really only wants generator business, when I would put them in there as an electrician, I don't think that there was an option to just do generators. It would be like house calls, blah, 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 blah. So they just felt like they were getting a lot of ungenerator targeted requests and that they were for smaller size jobs that just weren't worth their time. But yeah, I could be wrong, but it doesn't sound like to me, I could be wrong here, but it doesn't sound like you necessarily have a threshold that you have to meet for a drywall repair.
No.
Right.
And what's the downside for the contractor to be Google guaranteed? If the person says it was shit work, you got to give them their money back. Something like that, right? It's something
Google does. I think it's up to like there are two of them. There's Google guaranteed and then there's Google screened. One of them, it's you're guaranteed for up to X amount of money that if they do a shoddy job, Google will return your money to you.
Oh, okay. So
like
Google
Google's
must take a look
guaranteeing
at you.
Oh, they like if you're an attorney, for example, you have to submit all of your bar information. Like they do background checks on the people that they are guaranteeing.
Okay.
But I know for a fact that if you get up there and you get up there for the right term, you will feel it. Your phone will ring. Because it trumps everything. It trumps the AdWords, it trumps the maps, it trumps the Google SEO. It's the top of the page.
Right. I knew about this for handyman, but I never thought, oh, you could kind of shape it to be just what you want. That was a great idea, Jake.
Give it a shot.
I know I paid a couple $100 and didn't get nothing.
Yeah, through the ads. But this is different. This is, do they make you pay to become certified, Jake?
No, you pay per.
You just jump through the hoops, right?
You just, if like you get a list of who called you and you can mark them as this was a good lead, a bad lead. And then you pay per. And I want to say it's like, I don't know, 10 or 20 bucks kind of thing per lead. Yeah, I'm sure that they're different per industry, but the ones that I've messed around with, it definitely seemed like a way more affordable option than the AdWords and a lot more user-friendly for the customer to set it up.
But I think that's about it for this particular site audit podcast. So this is going to be the end of episode number 2. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for letting us look at all your information and website. Thank you, Jake, very much. And we'll see you the next time.
Yeah, thanks, Jake.
You're very welcome.